So the first question I want to ask you is, do you think that we should prescribe universal basic rights to human beings? So that's the right to life, liberty, personal autonomy, those kinds of rights, at the very bare least.
I do. When you started with the right to life, I suppose it depends. Being Irish, we have recently gone through Repeal the Eighth, and the right to life, I think, is based on people's moral opinion of when they believe the right to life starts. Mm-hmm. So this, I would probably, if you're saying right to life at birth and then all of those basic rights after that, yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the life of sentient beings, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely
the right
sentient.
to life of
Yeah.
The fetal right. Yes.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Do you think that we should value human beings regardless of things like their gender, race, their
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And things like intelligence or cognitive abilities?
Yes.
Do we devalue humans because of that or not?
Do we now or should we?
Sorry,
no,
I
don't
should we?
No,
yeah.
we shouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that we should discriminate or devalue lives based on their species?
First question is, do you believe in universal human rights?
Human rights, of course.
Yeah, so you believe that all humans should be treated fairly?
Of course.
Regardless of things like gender, race, that kind of thing?
Yes, I think we all of us, we should be equal.
Mm-hmm. And why is that important?
Why is that important? Me, like being a woman, that is supposed that we have to be fighting all the time to demonstrate that we can be as strong as men, and I don't think we should be doing that, because we should be treated equally the same.
Yeah. So you believe all humans should have freedom and should be protected?
Yes.
Yeah. And does that extend further to non-humans?
Non-humans.
So to animals? Yeah.
Of course. And I can tell you that I'm starting to think that I would like to become a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Because I know that all this process is like a shame. Like, okay, we can eat animals, but animals should be treated in a good way, even if we are gonna finish eating them. For example, maybe you have seen all these documentaries about how they make chicken nuggets and all those things. That's very painful. Mm-hmm. It's very painful. I don't eat chicken.
Sure. So if we imagine hypothetically an animal that's had a wonderful life, all the space in the world, belly rubs every day, truly happy.
Yeah.
Do you think there's still an ethical issue with killing that animal?
That's a difficult question.
Yeah.
Now, because I want to become, I'm thinking to become a vegetarian,
sure.
I wouldn't kill an animal.
Yeah.
Can I have an example, such as devalue life based on?
So if they're not human, but they are sentient, so animals.
So no, I don't believe in devaluing the life of animals.
Yeah. So they deserve the right to life, to personal autonomy, to liberty, to freedom, essentially.
To freedom, yes. I suppose then, getting into the personally, it's a tough one. I think if I go through examples, I was a vegetarian for a while, and I'm not anymore, but it was due to animal rights, and I would so I would need specific I suppose in general, yes.
Yeah. So you went vegetarian for ethical reasons, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm back eating meat, but I was a vegetarian, and I kind of sway. I can sway.
So I guess with any other ethical issue, and it could be anything from really things like thieving to very serious things like rape and murder, we'd say it's always wrong regardless of how it's done. So with killing an animal, can it either be ethical, or is it always wrong if we don't need to?
If we don't need to kill the animal, is what you mean?
So if we don't need to kill the animal, is it always wrong regardless of how it's done and how the animal's life was before?
That's a difficult question.
Yeah, right.
It's a very difficult question. I don't know what to answer really.
Okay, well let's do another hypothetical. Let's say I have an animal here in front of you.
Yeah.
Let's say it's a dog, and I got a knife out and said I'm going to kill this dog
No, I
for
wouldn't
food.
let you to do that.
You stop me physically.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I need to punch your face, I will do it.
Yeah. So you think it's wrong, morally wrong?
Yes. Why are you gonna kill him?
Food.
No, not at
Right.
all.
Because I don't need to. I could eat something else.
Yes.
Sure. That's
If you want to get proteins, you can have beans, lentils.
of course, right. So it's unnecessary.
No, it's not necessary.
Now, what if it was a pig?
It's a pig.
Would you still try and stop me if it was a pig?
You're not gonna kill an animal in front of me.
Even
I
a pig?
don't mind if it's a pig, a cow, a fish, or whatever it is.
And would you say it's still unnecessary? Because I could eat something else, right?
Yeah, we can steal something else.
So it's morally wrong. We don't need to do it. If I was to go behind a wall where you could no longer see me and kill that pig, would it still be morally wrong?
That question is tricky because I know sin, but no, I don't think I would let you kill the animal if I'm in the area.
Yeah. Let's say you're not in the area and I'm doing it where you can't see it.
It's what we are doing now.
Right, and is that
I'm
wrong?
buying pig, I'm buying pork, and I'm buying beef.
Sure.
And I don't see how they kill it.
Sure, but it's not always something we think about, right? But the pigs that you eat that are behind a wall where you can't see it, is the act of killing them still immoral? Same act, different place. Is it still wrong?
I think we shouldn't kill animals.
Would you agree then that, like animal rights are sort of like a logical extension of human rights? The right to life, liberty and personal autonomy. Do you think that it logically extends from human rights? Or if it doesn't, just to give you what you're thinking, if it doesn't, that would indicate that there is some difference between them and us that justifies the difference in treatment. So what would be that difference if you don't think that animal rights do extend from human rights? Yeah.
Big questions that I haven't thought about.
No worries.
I don't know about the extension from human rights, because I think it then comes down to evolution and species in general. That if you look at animals in the animal kingdom, they also forage and eat food, and I suppose then the difference between human beings and animals is conscious, that we are aware of the impact of what we do, I suppose.
Okay.
Rather than, I don't know, do all animals have that consciousness? And I probably wouldn't know enough about each species to be able to say that, but I would think that's probably the difference when it comes down to rights.
Okay. So are you saying that animals have different levels of consciousness?
This is what I'm not sure. Yeah,
okay,
as in do they feel guilt? Do they feel, fear? All
emotions,
of these.
Yes, emotions,
exactly. Yeah. And also the awareness of repercussions, that if I do this, this will happen. I suppose that's what I mean by conscious.
Yeah. Also, their ability to be able to work out the conclusions to things, that kind of thing. So that's kind of like ties into their kind of intelligence levels, would you say? Yeah. So two things there. There's intelligence, and what was the other thing that you said? Levels, something to do with levels of consciousness as well.
So emotion, guilt and fear, and yes.
So okay, if we go with guilt and fear first, well, let's just go with guilt. Say, if that was true of human, let's say there were human beings that weren't capable of experiencing guilt, would that trait per se justify devaluing their life because they weren't able? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for intelligence, if they were less intelligent, if there's less intelligent human beings?
No. This is when, it comes down to for me, no, I wouldn't. No, it doesn't devalue their life.
We don't need to eat them, and I know that. I eat meat.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious that we don't need to eat meat to survive.
We don't need to.
No.
Yeah. And you see, the thing is, I was exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
I was against animal cruelty, but 3 times a day I was paying for them to die.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was a bad person. It wasn't because I wanted them to suffer. It's just because we don't think about it, right?
We don't think about it.
We grow up eating these foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I totally agree with you. I pay for killing those animals. Like, because I want to eat them.
Yeah. And do you agree that because the industry works on supply and demand, whenever we buy a product, we're voting with our money?
Yeah.
So whenever we buy, say, pork, pigs, we are voting for them to produce more, and
Yes,
therefore
of
more animals are killed,
Yes,
right?
of course. If we keep buying meat, they are going to carry on killing animals. And if today I buy 2 trays of pork, and she buy another 2 and another 2 and another 2, and tomorrow I want 3 and she wants 3 and she wants 3, we are going to make the big companies carry on killing the animals. I know that.
Sure.
Do you think that I mean, obviously, you haven't really had time to think about this because I've just kind of, caught you unaware, but think about it a bit more perhaps. I mean, think about, is there any differences between them and us? I mean, obviously we're completely different to animals. We do experience greater levels of well-being and consciousness and all these things. Just look all around us, like what we've created, animals can't do that. So obviously they are definitely different to us. But I think, are they so different from us that would mean that we should treat them differently? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is something to think about.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I suppose that is why I did become a vegetarian, because when I think about it, that would be the route I would go down.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be that I believe that animals have rights as well, know, and definitely.
Yeah, your sort of moral system, own moral system does unfortunately lead to veganism.
Yes, it does, exactly. I was only thinking about it yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It does, yeah. Because I was just reading it, and I suppose, like, from just studying things and that we and any animal, drinks milk from their mother as children, because it's full of protein and things like that encourages you to grow, and then but we as humans continue to use dairy, and obviously the health implications that probably has on us as well, but also the industry that it causes, the dairy industry.
So you know about the dairy industry?
Yes.
Yeah, so what would be stopping you from cutting these foods out and going towards veganism?
Veganism? I couldn't be veganism. So, because I love cheese and I love eggs.
Yeah.
But it is true that I try to buy organic eggs and those things because I want to think that the animals are treated better. But for now, I only eat fish and chicken, and I starting to think that I don't want to eat meat anymore.
So I don't know if you're aware, but in the egg industry, when they're breeding the chickens, they only need the females, the hens, because they're the ones that lay the eggs. So they dispose of the male chicks. They don't need them. So they can be ground up alive while they're fully conscious. In the dairy industry, they separate the babies from their mothers because the calf wants to drink the mother's milk, and we want it. Yeah, and all of the animals in the dairy and egg industry, they all end up killed, just like the ones, like the pigs bred for meat. So you said you like the taste of cheese, you like the taste of eggs, just like I did, but you also said you're against animal cruelty.
Yeah, it's part of the animal's cruelty,
sure.
I know that.
So which do you value more about yourself? What do you value higher? Do you value getting taste pleasure, or do you value being against animal cruelty? Which is more important to you?
I think the correct answer would be going against the animal cruelty, but it is true that if you make me choose between an egg that tastes better than the other, I'm gonna go for the one that tastes better. Is what you were asking me?
Well, if we say you have an egg, or you have plants, and you know that egg causes harm to chickens, it kills male chicks, ground up alive, you're against animal cruelty, but you like the taste. So which is more important? If you imagine that you're at the end of your life and you're looking back on the life you've lived, what would you wish you'd have chosen? Trying to stop the animal cruelty or getting taste pleasure?
I think being against animal cruelty.
Sure. Yeah.
This interview is gonna change my life. You know that. You know that I'm gonna go home with different thoughts.
Yeah. Well, it's just not something we always think about, right? So I was the same as you before. I was very much against it, but I was paying for it. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you haven't thought about it.
Yeah, I know that.
Because you care about animals.
Yeah, I know that. And actually, we were talking before about animals, and they have a dog and all of that. Yeah. But it's being in my head all the time that I should try to be at least at the beginning vegetarian, because it's not only because the animal cruelty, it's because of the environment.
Sure.
And all the pollution.
Yeah.
It's about also looking after our environment.
I mean, if you could be healthy and happy by eating a plant-based diet, would there be anything to stop you at this point?
I suppose the only thing is the food I would miss. But no, if I went down the moral grounds, no, there wouldn't be. Yeah.
So if you could discover, like, if you went to Tesco's and you knew about what to buy, like there's a plethora of vegan products that you can buy now, and if you knew about that, would you be up for trying it, at least for maybe?
Oh yeah, I would.
Doing like a challenge or something, just to see how you get on with it. Because I could give you some information about that. There is a website called challenge22.com, and basically, if you sign up for the challenge, it's 22 days long. Basically, they say to form a habit, it takes 21 days, so they give you an extra day for free. And if you sign up for it, you'll be added into a Facebook group of other vegan curious people, basically, and you get free help and support for the whole 22 days. Have you got your phone?
22, I do.
Yeah, I'll find the website for you.
Perfect.
It's challenge22.com. I forget now how many people have signed up for it since its infancy, but I think it's like the hundreds of thousands now. Yeah.
Interesting that you came and spoke to me today, when yesterday I was only thinking about this.
This always happens to me when I speak to people. Yeah. People say, yes, only yesterday I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I was. I really like the comedian Sarah Pascoe, and I was reading something about her, and then I was like, oh, she's vegan. And then I was just reading a piece on her website about it, and it just kind of brings me back to, I suppose, if I consciously think about it.
It's not really in the forefront of our minds on a day-to-day basis, because we're bombarded with all this advertising, like McDonald's and all these adverts, dairy and everything like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And also we're raised and we're conditioned in a way by our parents. They don't really mean to, but we're conditioned in a way that we think that it's okay and acceptable to eat animal products. We've known it since we were born, so it's completely understandable that we wouldn't really think about it.
Of course, no, definitely. And like, I know when I was vegetarian, I became a much better cook, because you have to think outside. It's not just as simple as, like, it can be as simple as throwing things together, but if you want to create interesting meals, I think it is, you have to give it a little bit more thought. And I think just probably being where I'm from as well, your standard dinner is your meat and veg, that just goes hand in hand. So
yeah, definitely. I think when you start, I mean, for me personally, I went vegan 4.5 years ago. And so it was difficult at the start, and to be honest, I went vegan overnight, because I was like, I saw this documentary called Earthlings, which goes into the horrors basically of what happens in slaughterhouses and farms and things like this. And so I didn't know what to eat. I just survived for the whole week on fruit, hummus and carrots. I was like, what the hell do I eat? But gradually over time I worked it out, and I think today we've got so many resources now to help, so it's a lot easier.
It's still, I could still imagine, but it is a challenge though.
But do you like a challenge?
I do. I do in ways, I think, well, for me, it does go down the ethical route. That would be my close on it. If I watch any of those videos, that's it.
They're pretty hard to watch, actually.
Yeah, they are. And I think it's just the awareness of what happens. Like, I know, I suppose for my own sanity, I buy products that are, like, if I'm buying chicken or eggs or whatever, I would buy free range, and I would pay more to ensure that.
Because you care about their well-being.
Yes, of course. So I suppose the pieces that I struggle with veganism would be like eggs and honey. Where if chickens are laying eggs, you know what I mean, and it's, if they are living a happy enough life, what is the issue with eating eggs?
So, I mean, in the egg industry, all male chicks, when they're born, because they don't lay eggs, they're surplus to requirements, they can't, they won't let them live because they're just going to, it's not financially viable, and they're actually ground up alive, fully conscious. It's the cheapest, most effective way of getting rid of them. So yeah, that's the problem with the eggs. But also, I think for me personally, even if that wasn't happening and I was keeping chickens in my backyard, I think to take an egg from a chicken, I mean, you can't really get consent from them. And I know that, they are genetically modified and they do overlay these days. But I mean, I think even still, I mean, I know with chickens, they do actually eat their own eggs if they to replenish their calcium, iron, all that kind of stuff. So
I know it's just those pieces of it, but I think
there's grey areas.
There is, of course, with everything. And honey is another one that I would, I question about it. But definitely anything that involves slaughtering of animals, I'm
definitely
pretty It's an easy one. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're interested in doing the challenge.
No, definitely.
Okay, amazing. That's a really good interview. If I give you like a YouTube video to watch, would you consider watching it?
Of course.
Amazing. Let me just get my wallet out. So there's a speech here called "This Speech Is Your Wake Up Call."
Yeah.
It's a really powerful speech on YouTube. If you watch one thing, I'd watch that.
Okay.
There's also something called Challenge 22, challenge22.com. I think that's there somewhere anyway. Oh, there it is. So you sign up for 22 days of full support. In a group of other people on Facebook who are also trying to go vegan. But thank you so much for the interview, it was really interesting.
Okay,
I'll leave it there.
I will have a look.
Cool, my name's Jack, nice to meet you. Thanks.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Jack. I'm there.